Good afternoon, everybody. I am Mawi Hamid Shaddad. Most of my life is spent within the civil society, though I teach at University of Khartoum, and my field is astronomy. Okay, I know it seems far-fetched. Today we are going to address the Greenpreneurs or an enterprise. We're looking at entrepreneurs and an enterprise in Africa, but we are also addressing the issue in terms of young people and how they're looking into this, because we really see a lot of connection between the small and the medium entrepreneurship in Africa and maybe in other countries where work could help later on. I am going to talk a little bit and read a little passage about the SMEs in Africa are drivers of economic growth and job creation, contributing to a noteworthy part of rational GDPs, representing 95% of all firms and generating 80% of the jobs. So if you look at this, this is an enormous potential. Especially we know that in 15 years we will need about 600 million jobs for the young people in Africa. Okay? So looking at this in 15 years, seeking for such massive amount of job creation. When we look at SMEs, are a powerful means to address unemployment, underemployment and unemployment. However, as policies and programs continue to emphasize entrepreneurship as a means for Africa youth to become job creators instead of job seekers, and it is to be ensured that SMEs can contribute to reducing climate change effects. Since SMEs constitute 95% of Africa's private sector, which is the main energy user and greenhouse gas producer. Okay? Yes, it's true, in Africa we're still not producing. The whole of Africa, 54 countries are producing about 3-point-something%. If you take South Africa and Egypt out, we got 52 countries. But if you look at Africa development in the future, they need to go green. Even the development needs to be sustainable and a green development, so we do not become also part of the problem of climate change. And with this massive magnitude of the job creation and this SMEs, small and medium entrepreneurship, I think we need to look at it seriously, and we need to address the chances and the possibility of how we can green this matter and how we can put it in the line within the climate change context. Okay. So the session is looking at some youth trying to address this issue and trying to share their experience. I think we have some missing, but I hope she sent the message. She said she may come later. Actually, she's been taken as a junior trainee negotiator. So she's more has to follow the whip of the, of the senior negotiators. Okay. Without continuing, as they say here, there are two, as you could see in the leaflet, it shows two ways of how we're going to address this. But I would like to go fast because we have got very short time available. And I will start by Marcel Fudio. You're welcome. Okay, I will go introduce the person, ask him some questions, and then go to the second person, okay? And I am also going to be rather serious in terms of time. You only have got 5-6 minutes at maximum. So I hope your answers will be like that, okay? And before I start, I seem to have forgotten welcoming the people who are here. I'm sorry. And also those who are online, I very much would like to welcome you, because we're really looking at some crucial future issue that could actually be put in the concept of climate change and then avoid become part of the problem rather than we are supposed to be part of the solution. Okay, Marcel. Marcel, you are head of climate finance and insurance at the National Climate Change Program, Government of Côte d'Ivoire. Marcel, for you, is the head of KIDA. He has worked in a strategic consulting firm from 2013 to 2015 as a specialist in local planning and municipal finance. He works on aspects related to the circular economy and the involvement of the private sector in mitigating climate change. Have I done you well? Okay. Let's just go to asking you the question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the importance of the government of Côte d'Ivoire in terms of attaching to the greening of SMEs in the overall climate change agenda? Do you have a number for them? Do you think you can say from 1 to 10? And if it is low, tell us why it is low. If it is high, tell us why it is high. Okay?
D'accord, merci. Déjà, on peut dire que dans un contexte actuel, il n'est pas possible d'envisager un développement durable sans une transformation structurelle des économies. Donc, au niveau de la Côte d'Ivoire, il y a beaucoup de choses qui sont en train d'être faites. Donc, juste avec l'observation, on peut déjà dire que la Côte d'Ivoire pourrait se situer sur une échelle de 1 à 10 à un score de 5. Bon, ce score-là peut se justifier de la sorte. On peut dire qu'au niveau, puisque moi je travaille généralement avec l'administration publique, donc au ministère de l'Environnement, donc je vais plus parler de ce qui est fait et ce qui permet de justifier ce choix-là, cette note-là. Donc au niveau déjà du ministère de l'Environnement, il existe beaucoup d'actions qui sont faites, mais au niveau institutionnel, il existe un programme national de lutte contre le changement climatique dans lequel je travaille qui accompagne plusieurs initiatives, notamment des initiatives avec le secteur privé, des initiatives avec les collectivités territoriales, mais également, à côté de cela, il existe une direction de l'économie verte et de la responsabilité sociétale. Donc déjà, avec ces deux institutions au niveau institutionnel qui existent, on peut déjà dire qu'il y a beaucoup d'initiatives au niveau de l'administration publique. Mais le constat, c'est qu'il y a beaucoup d'entrepreneurs, de jeunes entrepreneurs qui sont en train de développer beaucoup de choses en matière d'économie verte, d'économie circulaire. Donc ça justifie assez aisément cette note de 5, je pense. Merci.
Okay. I also would like to tell us about your work, your personal work on this issue of green entrepreneurship.
D'accord, merci. Avant de parler de ce que je fais précisément, il serait plus intéressant que je parle du programme dans lequel je travaille. Il s'agit du programme national de lutte contre les changements climatiques, qui est un programme opérationnel qui est directement lié au ministère de l'Environnement. Donc ce programme-là, normalement, a un objectif d'accompagner toute initiative, qu'elle soit publique, qu'elle soit privée, en matière de prise en compte des changements climatiques. Et au niveau de ce programme-là, il est subdivisé en 7 thématiques principales. Et la thématique dans laquelle je travaille, dont je suis le responsable, c'est la question de finances climatiques. Donc, au niveau de tout ce qui est finances climatiques, qu'est-ce qu'on s'est rendu compte qu'il y avait beaucoup de choses qui pouvaient être faites, mais il y avait un souci particulier d'accès au financement climatique, surtout de la part du secteur privé, qui s'intègre difficilement dans la question de lutte contre le changement climatique, notamment parce que il est difficile pour ce secteur-là d'adresser facilement les guichets climatiques qui existent. Et donc, au niveau de ce programme-là, avec mon équipe, nous avons décidé de travailler avec le soutien du NDC Partnership à pouvoir faire une étude sur comment créer un système de de-risking, voilà, des investissements. Donc ça, c'est d'abord un point important sur lequel nous allons débuter des travaux. Il faut rappeler que cette unité est assez jeune. Depuis, je pense, janvier 2018 que cette unité existe. Donc, il y a déjà cette initiative-là de conduire des activités en matière de dérisquer en fait le secteur financier pour le secteur public et privé, pardon. Et à côté de cela, on ajoute également d'autres activités que nous sommes en train de mener, d'autres études que nous menons, c'est-à-dire des études en matière de fonds climatiques. Comment est-ce que nous pouvons créer au niveau national un fonds climatique qui pourrait adresser et le secteur privé et le secteur public. Et il s'agit bien des études qui sont en cours, qui pourraient efficacement contribuer à l'éco-entrepreneurial. Et puisque c'est la cible, en fait, c'est la cible.
Thank you very much. Do you feel you need to have a country-level strategy addressing this issue, especially with what being pointed that massive of the employment now in Africa and future job creation or seekers will be shouldered by youth? Do you think that this question is right across this board? Do you think there should be a clear countrywide strategy on addressing this issue? Just I want a very short answer. Because you were talking about project, you were talking about initiative, you were talking, but I didn't get a policy, a policy process with a strategy that this becomes an institutionalized issue.
Oui, au niveau national, il faudrait une politique nationale, mais ce que je voudrais dire, avant de continuer à répondre, c'est que j'ai l'habitude de dire, quand vous cherchez de l'emploi et que vous n'en trouvez pas, alors créez-en. On a toujours une petite idée quelque part qu'on pourrait développer. Donc au niveau national, je pourrais dire au niveau de la politique même nationale, il existe des structures comme le Centre de promotion des investissements de la Côte d'Ivoire et la direction de l'économie verte, la responsabilité sociétale, qui pourrait accompagner tout ce qui est projet en matière d'entreprise verte. Mais on pourrait également compléter le code. Il existe un cadre légal, le code des investissements en Côte d'Ivoire, qui, dont l'objectif précise clairement qu'il faudrait faire la promotion des économies vertes. Donc il y a déjà un cadre légal qui pourrait s'étendre à toute action, mais il serait plus intéressant évidemment qu'il y ait une stratégie nationale de l'emploi.
Thank you. Thank you very much. At least you give a much wider picture of what the process is in Côte d'Ivoire. Saeed Shakri, a colleague and a friend for many years, and we worked a lot in PACCHA and many other issues. Saeed is a national coordinator of Moroccan Alliance for Climate and Sustainable Development and a focal point of Pan-Africa Alliance, PACCHA, for Climate and Justice. He's a senior expert in environmental governance and climate change with a special emphasis in eco-entrepreneurship. Okay. Saeed, allow me to ask you the following. Saeed, I can't find what am I supposed to ask you. Okay, Saeed, you can talk about your experience, and then we can come across more.
D'accord. Merci, cher prof. Et merci aussi de nous rappeler que nous sommes dans un panel des jeunes. Ça fait plaisir d'être jeune aussi parmi ce panel des jeunes. C'est très gentil, prof. Effectivement, mon expérience, comme vous l'avez déjà présenté, j'ai un peu un volet associatif dont j'ai toujours été, j'ai aimé toujours rester, mais j'ai un volet aussi professionnel en tant qu'ancien professeur, mais actuellement un expert qui accompagne certains projets de développement aussi bien en faveur des jeunes et surtout les jeunes entrepreneurs aussi bien les collectivités territoriales. Donc, cette expérience qui m'a permis de dire que la formation est la base d'un vrai développement. C'est-à-dire, sans formation, on ne peut pas se développer. Car c'est à travers la formation qu'on peut switcher, surtout pour les jeunes éco-entrepreneurs, c'est la meilleure façon pour switcher d'un modèle de travail, de business plan qui est un peu classique vers un nouveau modèle de business plan qui peut éviter le risque. Parce que n'oubliez pas que lorsqu'on travaille comme jeune dans ce domaine éco-entrepreneuriat, bien sûr, il y a un risque. Et pour éviter ce risque, il faut être bien formé. Mais cette formation, il doit être multiple. Parce qu'un domaine d'éco-entrepreneuriat nécessite beaucoup de compétences. Bien sûr, l'idée, elle est très importante. Bien sûr, manager cette idée pour faire sortir un projet, c'est très important. Mais comment vendre cette idée? On a besoin d'un marketing, on a besoin vraiment d'un appui aussi logistique, de points humains, de points de vue, diverses compétences. Et croyez-moi, ce domaine d'éco-entrepreneuriat pour les jeunes, actuellement, si on parle du Maroc, l'expérience du Maroc dont j'en connais, elle est en parfait épanouissement. Pourquoi? Parce que ce domaine d'éco-entrepreneuriat existe. Il existe, mais d'une façon informelle. Maintenant, comment le rendre formel? Comment renforcer un peu les jeunes éco-entrepreneuriat? Et comment faire en sorte que ces contraintes du changement climatique, ces contraintes de l'environnement peuvent être des opportunités pour les jeunes. C'est peut-être l'objectif principal de la formation, saisir certaines opportunités, aussi bien concernant la question des changements climatiques, question de l'eau, question des déchets, toutes les questions, ce sont vraiment des domaines où on peut avoir des projets qui vont être vraiment rentables pour les jeunes. Et ma petite expérience, cher prof, consiste à accompagner des jeunes dans 2 régions du Maroc, région de Meknès qui est au centre, région de Rachidia qui est une région un peu diminuée dans un coin où l'offre de travail est très restreinte, c'est-à-dire on n'a pas beaucoup de travail. Donc c'est une façon d'encourager les jeunes à chercher du travail, à chercher un emploi qui est stable. Et peut-être on s'est rendu compte que les erreurs qui ont été avant, ce sont des erreurs qui ont vraiment... la cause, c'est la formation. Parce que c'est vrai d'avoir une idée, mais vendre cette idée, il faut avoir un bagage des compétences dans différents domaines. Voilà un peu, cher prof, pour ne pas aller plus loin dans cette première partie, voilà l'intérêt de la formation et surtout ma petite expérience. Et je peux vous dire que actuellement, beaucoup de jeunes, ils ont entamé un processus, mais avec une formation, ils peuvent arriver vraiment à avoir des résultats concrets. Et ici, par la suite, je peux vous dire concrètement quels sont ces résultats.
Thank you, Said. I will move to Manjoor Rashid. Manjoor, Oxfam, Bangladesh, Policy Advocacy Campaign and Communication Manager. He's also one of the premier advocacy and campaign experts in Bangladesh. Many expertise in designing capacity building program for different rights-based campaign. Okay, Manjoor. Okay, can you tell us about your work and a bit about Oxfam work in supporting green entrepreneurship development in Bangladesh, while also telling us about Bangladesh's journey to become, to coming to value youth green entrepreneurship. And then remember, we know that Bangladesh, about 1/3, if climate change goes as it is, 1/3 of the land in Bangladesh is going to be underwater. And so you have got almost 1/3 of the population without the land that should live in. And I like the adaptation program being done in Bangladesh. Please continue.
Thank you, sir. Really, I am very happy to be here. And especially thank you not only for me, also you are inviting and giving opportunity to Oxfam to talk about the issues, especially the green entrepreneurship related words. Before going to my main discussion, just I would like to inform you that though we are becoming middle income country in the world, but still, Bangladesh, like other development countries, are not responsive to the needs and demands of citizens, especially the poorer one. Most of the people of Bangladesh are still, suffering lot of problems, especially, you know, their education, their health status, their income, earning, employment status, all rate are not much improving. Though we are treating ourselves and developing ourselves day by day, but still we are behind all of the human standard. And on the other hand, our honorable professor also mentioned about our identity as one of the most climate vulnerable country, and there are a lot of initiatives that is actually taken by the Bangladesh government, and as partner of the Bangladesh government, as international NGOs and our local partners are also doing some kinds of job. From Oxfam in Bangladesh, we have some programs. We are trying to address the green entrepreneurship through our youth entrepreneurship program. Oxfam in Bangladesh under Empower Youth for Working, it's a project which is actually providing entrepreneurship skills training to young women and men. The plan is to provide skills related to climate change issues and climate friendly business in climate affected rural areas. Especially we are working in our country, especially in the southwestern part, which is called as Khulna division. We are working there, and there is a scarcity of pure drinking water and crops production challenges and opportunities for youth regarding climate change and to develop technical skills and climate-friendly youth entrepreneurship. These are basically the areas we are addressing from Oxfam of Bangladesh. As you know, International Labour Organization, they are always give on a special quotation, especially that is dedicated to the youth. Like they mentioned that skills requirements are changing because climate change has become one of the drivers of skills needs. In relation with that, Bangladesh, especially Oxfam in Bangladesh, giving emphasis on the areas of climate action and skills needs areas. The two areas is very, very important, and we are giving emphasis on that. Number one is causes of climate change, especially the youth groups. They need to learn actually what is the reason behind the climate problems. Therefore, we are providing capacity building related support so that they can develop their skills, and that skills actually needed to address the causes. Especially we are talking about the mitigation part, and from our side with the government of Bangladesh as well as Oxfam globally, we are trying to introduce renewable energy, especially with our technician supports. Apart from that, like another part is very important to learn, especially for the youth people, that is called impacts of climate change. Still, the whole education rate in country is not much. It is not good sign. But, youth, they should be the future leaders. They should be treated as the leader of the country. Therefore, we have some programs so that our youth peoples can learn about the impact of climate change. So that kind of skills we have been providing to the youth people so that they can address the impact related issues, especially adaptation sector, water technician in water stress areas. And at this moment, we are giving and implementing village-based solar home system training session in Bangladesh with at least 155 youth groups at this moment we are addressing. I think at this moment I can stop.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yannick Memi, hi, how are you? Can you tell me what is exactly his blue business?
I'm still trying to figure out myself. Anyway,
Okay,
I'm Yannick.
allow me,
Oh, okay,
so
sorry.
people can know you.
Okay.
Yannick is says Seeing Blue coordinator. So it's a question, what is this blue? And Seychelles and a freelance sustainable tourism consultant. You're welcome. So first of all, tell us what is blue business, okay? And then exactly what you do
Okay.
and how you're supporting the youth.
Okay. Well, the blue economy is a new concept that Seychelles has come up with, and it's a transformative way of thinking. So, in terms of how we view our oceans, instead of just fisheries or a place for people to dump their trash, we saw that it's not just a blue desert, but we see it as an opportunity, a world of new opportunities for small island states such as Seychelles and the rest, because there's just so much opportunities within the blue economy itself. It's not, like I said, about fisheries or tourism. There's pharmaceuticals, there's hydrocarbons that can be extracted from the oceans themselves. And there's also talk of renewable energy in terms of offshore wind turbines. There's also tidal generators that can be applied. So for myself, anyway, I just started my consultancy work, so it's in June. I'm still trying to figure things out, so bear with me. I'm still learning myself, and I love to learn, so I hope after this we can share with each other. So my work with the blue economy is...
Tell us about the challenges since you're just starting, so the youth can learn the difficulties you will go through.
Well, the challenges that we face, it's pretty much like everybody else. It's in terms of finding the funds to start your business. This is quite difficult, especially because I'm young. So banks are not willing to take the risk, and this is where, again, I try to echo this to them whenever I'm in different conferences, that they need to be more open to young people. This is how we drive diversity and innovation. And I'm quite happy that in Seychelles, the government has listened to us. We have the Seed Fund, which is a grant provided by the government of Seychelles to young startups, especially young entrepreneurs, which is around 50,000 Seychelles rupees, approximately 3,500 US dollars for small entrepreneurs to start their business. And to complement that, we also have small medium loans that are provided to young entrepreneurs. There is also the issue of the culture of failure, because when you're still young, we're all afraid of failing. And I think this is where we have to, as young people, accept failure, because this is how we learn. And failure is an important step. We shouldn't be discouraged by it, and embrace it whenever it happens. And yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, because I have a lot to talk about, and each topic, like if you're going to ask me about the blue economy, we're going to be staying here for like these 3 hours. So I've tried to summarize everything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're doing within the time. That's
Okay.
what
I'm sorry.
Okay, I will go to Dominique Souris. Am I pronouncing correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. Dominique, Youth Club, Youth Climate Lab, co-founder and executive director, a tireless climate activist, and a youth advocate. Dominique, now the floor is yours.
Amazing.
Let us tell us about your work, and then also in terms of day-to-day of the business of that, what exactly is Youth Climate Lab, and how the support comes to it, and what you're doing there, okay? And also we need to hear about the challenges and the concerns, and because that's very important for the youth, okay? And also the word that will always hit the youth, sustainability. Don't worry, it shakes even the grown-up when doing projects in the Oxford. I'm sure they always have this sustainability issue, because no sustainability, you know what's going to happen. The youth disappointment, giving up, and all that will be online. So please.
J'aimerais débuter pour dire bonjour, merci. Je vais parler en anglais, I'll speak in English, mais je voulais juste dire que s'il y a des questions, n'hésitez pas à les poser en français. So it's really a privilege to be here to be able to share some of our experiences. So as was introduced, I run an organization called the Youth Climate Lab, and we're based in Canada, but we work with a team all around the world. And it's all around really supporting young people taking action on climate change. Everywhere around the world, young people are very passionate and have these amazing ideas, but face a number of challenges, face a number of barriers, which I'll touch to in a moment. So the Youth Climate Lab, what we do is basically with our global design team, create sort of creative projects to try to support young people that specifically address those issues. I'll speak to 3 projects. There's one we run this activation, we call it. It's called the Pop-Up Lab. And it's a one-day event where we basically create an accelerator program for young people. So usually we host it at like conferences or as a standalone event. And we bring a lot of young people who have early stage ideas, and we set them up with mentors. We set them up with other young people who have similar ideas. We give them free coffee. And then have different partners that offer micro grants that could just get them to the next level. Another project we're running is actually more on understanding the challenges that young entrepreneurs face. So we're running a research project with the University of British Columbia, their Center for Impact Investing. And it's really focused on the unique challenges and opportunities of supporting and funding youth-led projects. So we're trying to understand, where does youth and climate finance play in? But the project I really want to talk about here is actually called Greenpreneurs, which is why I was so excited to see the title of this event. And Greenpreneurs is a 10-week virtual accelerator program that we ran this year, and that was in collaboration with the Global Green Growth Institute, as well as Student Energy. And basically, the idea behind Greenpreneurs was making the resources, the training, the capacity building that young entrepreneurs need very accessible. So it was a 10-week online module. Every week we had webinars. The teams, we accepted 10 teams that had to submit weekly tasks just to get them along and making sure that they were progressing along our program. And the way that we designed Greenpreneurs was very much focused on the lean startup methodology. So all around agile, creating agile businesses that could really respond to different opportunities and pivot when needed. And so our 10-week program, like I mentioned, we designed with these amazing partners. We also had mentors for each team, as well as program coaches and subject matter experts that the teams had access to throughout the 10 weeks of the program. At the end, we had a global business plan competition. So throughout those 10 weeks, the young people came from an early stage idea, and the idea was to get them to a robust business plan so that they can investigate and find other sources of funding. We had 4 winners that were offered seed funding of about $5,000. And I wanted to share some of the ideas, and then I'll try to touch on some of the challenges as well. We actually had 2 teams from Morocco. Saeed, I wanted to mention that. One of our teams, Pavico, actually developed this awesome solution that uses plastic recycling and makes it into concrete pavers that are 25% cheaper than the conventional pavers. The other team from Morocco actually developed this green tech ICT solution to scale up agro technology. We had a team had members from Uganda and Zimbabwe, and they created fuel briquettes made of organic agricultural waste to address deforestation, and they were doing that while upskilling young people and women. So in the young entrepreneurs that we supported through that program, as well as through our other programming, we're seeing that young people want to take action in climate change, and are seeing this as an opportunity to take action, but also improve people's lives. And so I think this informs a lot of the work that we do, because we reach out to those young people and say, okay, well, let's explore how we can further scale up your efforts. In terms of challenges that I'll touch on really quickly, I think, Yannick, you mentioned some awesome ones. As a young person, you face unique challenges that other entrepreneurs may not face. You have this age where people are like, how old are you? Really, are you doing this? But importantly, you also face a number of challenges, because if you're in school, or if you're balancing family responsibilities, you're balancing having a normal social life, and other existential crisis that comes with being a young person. And so what we're finding is that a lot of young people are taking this climate action and are also doing this on a volunteer basis. And so when we're looking to really design projects to support young entrepreneurs, we really need to think about where they are. And of course that differs a lot of where they're physically, geographically are. I think I'll leave it at that for now, but I'm very keen to share more about our learnings.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I think last, and maybe it's called normally say last but not the least, we have Nasreen Saim. She's from Sudan, and she's the Sudan Youth Organization on Climate Change. She chaired that one. She's also coordinated an umbrella body called YES, Youth and Environment Sudan, which has over 1,300 members. And Nasreen, hi Nasreen, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Well,
I'm actually very happy to be here, first of all, and to have Yannick and also Dominique in a panel, which is not Yango panel, which is super weird. We are really used to being panels, but as Yango, and I'm very happy that African Development Bank has started to work on youth and have young people as a panelist. It's a huge step forward, I think. So thank you, African Development Bank.
I haven't yet asked you anything. You just...
I'm just expressing my happiness of being here.
Okay. All right. Tell us about your work, your effort in Sudan to awaken the youth consciousness to take action around climate change issues. And you can continue. Okay?
Perfect. So mainly my work. It's not my work, it's our work. We are a group of people in Sudan, young people, are trying to do many things in one time. One is youth empowerment, because we think the only way of change is empowering young people. And the second thing is we are trying to raise awareness about climate change issues in Sudan. And then we get surprised every time we talk to anyone about climate change, because they're already witnessing the changes. Their lives are already changing, and the only thing we do is we mix the science with the daily life basis events. So if they say that the weather is too hot today, we say yes, this is global warming, and then we try to explain what is global warming. If they say this is a very dry season, we didn't have rain this year, we say yes, rain changes, the seasons are changing because of climate change. And climate change is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then every time we face with the question, they ask us, other people, young and also old people, they ask us, we are not in any way part of the climate change issue, but we are the most affected by climate change. So what are we going to do? And then here the green entrepreneurs come, because every young people inside of themselves, they have a lot of ideas that can actually help to improve the quality of life in our countries, and also be environmentally friendly and climate friendly also. So what we do mainly is raise awareness by having workshops, forums, and campaigns also. And then we also try to create actions regarding to many other issues regarding connected to climate change. And as I said earlier, they already started to feel the changes in their lives. So we just make it understandable from a scientific side of view. And also we try to open a small window for innovators to have a place to speak and a floor to actually present their ideas and what they can do. And last but not least, a way to move forward. Also, we are not trying to have only technical aware people of the climate change issues, but we're also trying to have leadership. So we do capacity building in technical and also leadership skills for these young people.
Can I ask you, it says here you're doing a master in renewable energy.
Yes.
How do you see that in terms of future entrepreneurship for youth
Okay.
in your country?
Yes. So the basic of me doing master in renewable energy is me and a group of other young people in Sudan. We believe in policy and science together. We think that policy making and decision making process should be on a scientific basis. So. And of course, renewable energy is a huge market for entrepreneurs because it provides jobs and also income if you are starting to be like renewable energy entrepreneurship. Especially in Sudan because we have a lot of sun. Solar energy is a big market for entrepreneurship, and it's actually financially beneficial if we started doing projects in renewable energy and solar energy.
Thank you.
In particular.
Online and people you have listened to what the sixth presentation or their ideas and what they work and in terms of entrepreneurship and how this is going to help the youth. Saeed, you want to add something? There is another set of questions coming, Saeed. Okay.
Oui, d'accord. Non, rien pour vous donner, partager avec vous l'expérience marocaine, parce que c'est très intéressant pour les questions des éco-entrepreneurs jeunes pour le Maroc. Parce que il y a certaines mesures qui ont été prises au niveau du Maroc pour encourager surtout les jeunes à entamer ce domaine d'éco-entrepreneuriat jeune. Alors, la première mesure qui est très importante, c'est que nous avons une loi au Maroc sur l'auto-entrepreneuriat. C'est une très bonne chose. La deuxième chose, c'est que la loi de finances climat de 2018 a mis des mesures d'encouragement aussi bien pour les sociétés que pour les incubateurs, que pour les personnes, vraiment à encourager les jeunes à trouver des domaines de travail dans l'éco-entrepreneuriat. Et aussi, je rappelle, vous étiez professeur Cheddad, à la COP22, la Banque du Maroc a mis en place une feuille de route parce qu'il y avait un petit risque, surtout la question de finances pour ces projets éco-entrepreneurs. Il n'y avait pas beaucoup de finances pour les jeunes. Et il a mis une feuille de route, surtout pour encourager les assurances, pour encourager les banques à aider les jeunes à développer ce genre de projet. Et dernièrement, je peux vous dire qu'il y avait une initiative très forte de la part de la Banque mondiale qui a donné une subvention à la Caisse nationale de garantie pour effectivement aider les jeunes à développer ce genre de contre-entrepreneuriat. Peut-être c'est cette expérience-là qu'il faut accompagner les jeunes pour développer ce genre de projet. C'est ça ce que je veux dire pour contribuer aussi à ce panel qui est très excellent pour les échanges.
Can I ask a question? Do you think the African Development Bank could have done the same as what you said the World Bank has done?
Effectivement, pourquoi j'ai soulevé cette question? C'est parce que s'il n'y a pas de formation et de finances, on ne peut pas rêver qu'il y a vraiment des projets d'éco-entrepreneurs dans ce domaine. Donc c'est la formation, ce qui est très important, mais aussi il faut les accompagner, il faut encourager les finances, parce que la majorité des banques hésitent de financer les jeunes, surtout les éco-entrepreneurs, à cause de ce risque. Si la Banque africaine s'engage à contribuer pour effectivement diminuer ce risque, peut-être on aura l'occasion de voir beaucoup de jeunes africains, et surtout que l'Afrique actuellement, il y a plein d'opportunités pour ce genre de projet d'éco-entrepreneuriat. Tous les domaines, ils sont. Et il existe, malheureusement, comme j'ai dit, Dr Cheddad, il existe, mais d'une façon informelle. Peut-être la Banque africaine, comment encourager à vraiment switcher de ce domaine qui est informel vers un domaine formel, avec vraiment des arguments, avec des compétences, avec des jeunes qui sont très motivés, mais avec des projets qui sont durables.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I see also people at the panel are shaking their head. Yes, yes, yes. I think there is a job for African Development Bank. Okay, now we will move to having questions from the audience and or, they need something to be clarified. And also from the online, I think there is an online also going on. We expect also they are welcome to have their questions over. I open the floor. Please say the name of whom you are directing your question, and if it's a general one, you're welcome to say the one you would like to ask generally. Yes, please, gentleman over there.
Thank you. My name is Pranab Barra from Global Green Growth Institute. So I'm actually really happy that actually Dominic mentioned about the program that we had with student Youth Climate Lab and Student Energy. So one of the things that we are recognizing, because we are in the business of green growth, is that we can talk about all climate action and transition, but it's about creation of jobs, because you mentioned like in Africa, it's about providing jobs for 600 million youth. So this is one of the initiatives that we have started, but at the same time we have started one program where we are starting to actually analyze how many green jobs are created by the governments in the countries that we work in, and how best we can support these countries in terms of development of policies. But the thing is, I think our gentleman from Morocco mentioned that in many countries, a big portion of employment is the informal sector in Africa. And also in some of the countries I go to, I see they have, for example, the training programs or vocational training on the green related sectors. But these people cannot find job because there is not enough investments going on actually on the green sector. So there is a disconnect between, how can I say, sometimes the training and also the investments that you need to actually, like pop up the green sectors. So my actually kind of question, or I'm curious, especially from Morocco, because I know that Morocco has a 4C Maroc, very nice program on capacity development. So how you are considering in terms of training or capacity development of youth, especially in the informal sectors, not only in vocational training, but focusing on the informal sectors actually to green the informal sector and connecting the economy. And how do you think that it should come first, or how should actually balance, Because in Mozambique we have seen they have started vocational training program, but people have stopped going there because there is no jobs after you get the training. So I think there has to be a process how you started. So I think it would be nice to hear your perspective. And also I think from any of the panelists, including Dominic, what are the challenges that you face, and where do you think institutions like GGGI or AFDB can best come in? Because I think we can talk about all this policy development and stuff, but if you really do not focus on, like jobs creation at the SMEs level, at the youth level, I think we cannot actually achieve this transition. Thank you.
Thank you. I will take 2 questions before I ask the panel to answer. Any more questions? Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Hughes with Solar Cookers International. We work with hundreds of partners all around the world, so thank you all for your perspectives. This is really helpful, and we want to help our partners scale up to reach the demand of everyone cooking over open fires, so thank you. One question for Dominique is, how do people access the program that you were talking about? Is there a cost, and what if they don't have a consistent connection to internet?
Yes, please.
Lina Yassin from Sudan. My question for Yannick, as a young person who just started working, what is your advice to other young people who wants to do project on themselves but are afraid of failing? Because you mentioned that point.
Okay, Said, could you answer in a short, because we are pushed for time, please?
Oui, alors rapidement, il y avait deux petites questions sur le 4C, c'est-à-dire c'est un centre de renforcement des capacités en changement climatique au Maroc. C'était une initiative et c'était une volonté à haut niveau. C'est une initiative de la COP 22. Pourquoi cette initiative est très importante? Parce que le centre en lui-même, c'est une plateforme qui réunit 4 collèges. Il y a le collège des entreprises et du secteur privé. Il y a un collège de la recherche et des institutions scientifiques. Il y a un collège des acteurs de l'État et il y a un collège de la société civile. Et l'ensemble de ces collèges se réunissent pour effectivement discuter certains points, notamment la question de l'éco-entrepreneuriat. Moi, je suis président du collège de la société civile au sein de 4C. Et je sais que déjà, les contacts sont faciles à travers cette plateforme avec les entreprises pour leur expliquer un peu ses engagements et ses opportunités. Parce que parfois, l'information, elle est très importante. Peut-être certains secteurs privés, ils n'ont pas l'information qu'il y a un appui aussi bien de la Banque mondiale, des autres banques, pour effectivement encourager. Ils ne sont pas au courant qu'il y a déjà la Banque du Maroc encourage les entreprises et les investisseurs à aller vers ces co-entrepreneuriats. Ça, c'est très important. Votre deuxième question aussi, il est fondamental. Par quoi on commence? C'est vrai, tout ce qui est formation professionnelle, même au niveau du Maroc, n'a pas donné les résultats escomptés ou les résultats attendus. Moi, je dis, la recherche scientifique, elle est très importante et l'université, elle est très importante. Pourquoi l'université est très importante? Adapter les études, adapter tout ce qui se fait au sein de l'université dans le domaine du travail. Et l'éco-entrepreneuriat peut être un créneau qui doit être développé à travers les masters, à travers les jeunes, parce que l'acquisition de ces compétences très importantes pour pouvoir aller vers le domaine du travail déjà préparé scientifiquement, préparé méthodologiquement.
Okay, I'll start by responding to the question from my colleague at Triple GI. I think one of the key questions that are guiding our work at Youth Climate Lab is very much what is the future of work in an age of climate change? We know that we need to be creating new jobs. We want those jobs to be green, but also how do existing jobs, how will those be impacted by climate change? So a lot of our focus has been, okay, well, what is skills building for young entrepreneurs? And so in our moving forward, one of our big focus areas in how we design projects for young entrepreneurs is focus on 3 main areas. So the individual, the actual business skills you need, but also innovation. And so on the individual level, it is important to recognize that entrepreneurship is hard. It is very difficult. You face a number of different personal, professional, etc. challenges. And so how do you build up people to be entrepreneurs or perhaps to be intrapreneurs within existing organizations? There's a number of soft skills that are needed and more training really and support to be able to support individuals to carry on their ideas. On the business side, of course, we know around like creating a business plan, balancing a budget, et cetera, So it is important to still sort of focus on that. But innovation is really interesting. We hear this everywhere. It's a buzzword everywhere. But there's incredible amount of research and existing innovation processes that we can really learn from because there's a lot of different opportunities and accelerator programs that are happening. And so I think if we focus our training resources and programs around those key components, it'll really actually help support and drive more of this work.
Thank you.
Just quickly on the accessibility piece. So our program is free. It was a competitive call, so we can only support 10 teams this year. We promoted the program for about 3.5 weeks, which wasn't very long, and we got 350 applications, which was incredible. There's such a sort of interest and need for this. And because it was online, there is challenges for those who don't have reliable internet accessibility. So we're looking to explore how we can complement with national programming on the ground. But that's something I'm really, really trying to figure out. But otherwise, it was all free as long as they sort of made it to the 10 teams that were selected.
Thank you. There was a question to you.
Hello. Thank you for your question. I think the first thing that we as entrepreneurs need to have is passion. You don't go into a business just to make money. The money is good, but don't just go into it for the sake of, for its own sake. And unfortunately, if you do that, it will leave you directionless. You will be burnt out, and eventually you'll end up where you started. So you should choose an interest that you're passionate about. Secondly, don't be afraid to take risks. This is something that you need to get it out of you. And coming from an African country, you know, you have your parents that keep telling you why you should go into entrepreneurship, you know. I understand in a way because they love us. They want us to have a secure job. But we have to make our own path, and we shouldn't let that get in the way. But most importantly is to find mentorship. Sometimes when you're, because you're a young entrepreneur, you're going into business for the first time, it's exhilarating, it's frustrating, you're liberated, and terrified at the same time. And this is where it's good to have someone that has the experience. And one way you can do this is to have networking opportunities with older folks. So you can share these experiences with each other. And COP is a fantastic way to get this experience, because I've talked to quite a few entrepreneurs from different fields, and I'm very excited with some of the new ideas that we've generated. Yeah.
Thank you very much. You know, Marcel and Rashid and Nasreen, I will just give you half a minute each if you want to add to what's been said, because the question could also touch some of the work you're doing. Not more than half a minute, please. Okay? Go, Marcel.
D'accord, merci. Yannick et Dominique ont dit des choses assez intéressantes. Et je vais un peu résumer un peu. Ils ont parlé de passion. La passion est très importante. Et ce qu'il faut retenir en tant que jeune, on n'investit pas parce qu'on a de l'argent. On investit parce qu'on cherche à avoir de meilleures conditions de vivre. On investit parce qu'on veut réaliser quelque chose, on veut affirmer quelque chose. Donc, il faut d'abord de la rigueur. La rigueur est très importante. C'est la chose la plus importante selon moi, avoir de la rigueur. Et il faut pouvoir se faire accompagner. Yannick l'a dit, je pense que c'est assez intéressant. Mais les problèmes dont on avait parlé initialement, tels que le cadre dans lequel on évolue, la politique du pays, peuvent être certains freins qu'on ne peut pas nous-mêmes, sur lesquels on ne peut pas nous-mêmes agir. Donc parfois, il faudrait également mener plus d'actions en cherchant à se faire accompagner, plus s'intéresser également à l'exemple de ce qui a été fait de mieux ailleurs. Parce qu'on ne va pas recréer la roue, on ne va pas inventer l'eau tiède. C'est juste de l'eau froide, de l'eau chaude qu'on mélange, je pense.
Okay. Please, you got half a minute.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I'm very happy because, you know, the upcoming days, I think we all are trying to create enabling green environment, and youth are the champion because they are leading these kinds of wars. From the development perspective and implementing perspectives, you know, youth groups are taking climate action nowadays by days, and the main areas of their intervention is especially awareness and demanding for green jobs and enterprise, following green lifestyle, how we can ensure that issues is day by day raising, and most importantly, which is very important, that is volunteerism to address climate change impact, and different level volunteers day by day coming from the youth groups. From the policy support and networking thinking, we are especially for the COP, we are seeing that government promoting green jobs and climate resilient enterprise almost every country, and also green jobs and enterprise development program of different bilateral and multilateral organizations giving more priorities. And the final one, which is actually different global initiatives, which is taken by UN joint framework initiative on children, youth and climate change, that perspectives. As a result, everyone is trying their level best how they can contribute, especially for the green perspective, especially for the climate change perspective. As a result, I earlier mentioned the world will be changed, and of course it will be the collective support. Thank you, sir.
Nasreen, do you have anything to add?
Yes, it's just
Half a minute.
less than half a minute. I always say believe in yourselves, but believing in yourself is important, but the most important is believe in others. So wherever you can help and support young people with knowledge, tools, financial support, please do it, because we have a lot of energy and we have a lot of ideas to do it. Thank you.
Okay. We take another set of questions. You can ask me again, no problem.
This question is for Marcel. So, as I said, we're a network of hundreds of partners, and we encourage local production. So we would love youth groups to make solar cookers and sell them. It's a great energy solution. How do we help them connect to, because funding is always the question. So we had a number of people from Katowice come to our booth and say, okay, well, how do we get the funding? So how do we help them find and connect to resources in their country? And if anybody has advice from their countries as well, please.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. I think my question will go to Saidi. I think from the discussions, all presenters have been talking about off-farm enterprises. I just wanted to know from Saidi, where do you see youth engagement in agricultural enterprises in the face of climate change?
Okay. Are we getting a third question? Okay, we can answer these questions. Said.
Oui, alors pour les...
Please, not more than a minute if possible.
Comment?
Just if you could give your answer in a minute, please. I'm getting pushed for time.
Ok, prof. Moi, je dis pas les entreprises agricoles, mais je dis les entreprises dans le milieu rural, si vous permettez. Parce que le milieu rural, il est aussi prometteur de beaucoup d'entreprises, notamment tout ce qui est, par exemple, nous au Maroc, on a développé ce qu'on appelle l'écotourisme, ou le tourisme du milieu rural. Ce sont des vraies entreprises qui sont développées avec des gîtes, avec des services, c'est-à-dire les produits de terroir. C'est vraiment quelque chose de très réussi. Et certaines entreprises, ils sont arrivés à maintenant se développer dans plusieurs endroits du Maroc. Ça, c'est une expérience très réussite. Mais à vrai dire, puisque le milieu rural il est très limité, je pense que la seule chose qui peut marcher, c'est effectivement ce domaine de l'écotourisme dans le milieu rural.
Thank you. Marcel?
D'accord, merci. Déjà, merci. Donc, merci également, madame, pour votre... je crois que c'est une suggestion, je pense. Et je voudrais déjà vous remercier parce que nous sommes tous en quête de financement. Voilà. Et ça tombe bien que vous puissiez orienter des jeunes à pouvoir avoir accès à d'autres types de financement. Donc, je pense qu'il n'y a pas vraiment grand-chose parce qu'en Côte d'Ivoire, il y a beaucoup d'initiatives qui sont faites de façon informelle. Et tout le monde cherche à trouver un moyen de financement assez intéressant. Et comme on l'avait déjà relevé au départ, c'est que les banques n'ont pas vraiment confiance. Voilà. Et j'avais dit qu'il y a tout un risque que les banques ne veulent pas prendre. Voilà pourquoi nous, au sein du programme dans lequel je travaille, nous sommes en train de travailler sur une stratégie de de-risking en matière d'accès au financement. Donc merci également. Je pense que on pourra peut-être échanger après pour voir un peu dans quel cadre cela pourrait bénéficier davantage à plus de jeunes. Merci.
Okay. Yes, please. Dr. Balqis.
Thank you. I'd like to know from different perspectives, what do you think the most determinant factor for achieving the objective or reaching for the young your aspiration in terms of green entrepreneurship? What are the most determinant factors? Is it policies, enabling environment? Is it regulation? Whatever you think. Thank you.
Okay. can I leave this to the last because I want to add to it also. I want them across to tell us more about challenges and future. I want them in the concept of the African Development Bank. How do they see how do they see Africa could help in this entrepreneurship, and what policy needed, what strategy needed to be done? So that will be our last question. Okay, but I have here a question for Marcel. Is there any more questions? No? Then Marcel, you're getting this question. Okay? It says, what are some of the critics that your government gets the most of the SMEs who want improved support, and how you are proposing to address this at a policy level? It seems of all the projects and all the government work, there's still some critics. Okay? And how are you going to take the criticism on board, and how are you going to integrate it in the policies so we could have achieved a much better results? And please go ahead.
D'accord, merci. Pour les critiques, je pense que les critiques sont un peu les mêmes partout. On a parlé de...
Talk to the microphone.
Pour les critiques sont un peu les mêmes partout dans le monde. On en a relevé certaines critiques, comme l'accès au financement, au niveau de l'encadrement, mais il y a aussi une critique assez importante qui ressort très souvent quand on échange avec les jeunes. C'est au niveau de la visibilité, parce qu'il y a des choses qui sont faites, il y a un problème de visibilité de ce qui est fait. Et quand il n'y a pas de visibilité, il est difficile d'avoir accès à certains types de financement et tisser des types de partenariats qui pourraient aider une activité à se développer. Il y a aussi les critiques d'accès au marché, voilà, qui sont des critiques qui reviennent. Mais au niveau de la Côte d'Ivoire, comme je l'ai déjà dit, il y a beaucoup de choses qui ont été faites, qui sont en train d'être faites au niveau légal. Il y a des choses qui sont faites. Et on a le centre de promotion de l'investissement qui mène beaucoup d'activités. C'est vrai que cela n'est pas suffisant. On pourrait peut-être, par exemple, pour donner peut-être mon avis personnel, on pourrait par exemple décentraliser le niveau d'action en conduisant l'action plus vers les collectivités, vers l'intérieur du pays, vers centraliser les actions au niveau de tout le territoire. Parce qu'on constate que très souvent les actions sont menées dans les zones urbaines, dans les zones où se concentrent beaucoup de personnes, alors qu'on oublie qu'il y a des initiatives, de petites initiatives qui sont menées à l'extérieur de ces types de zones-là, qui sont des actions assez intéressantes qui peuvent être développées. Donc, au niveau de la stratégie, comme je l'ai dit, avec le programme, nous sommes en train de travailler avec l'appui de NDC Partnership à mettre une stratégie au niveau du secteur privé. Et cette stratégie-là sera élaborée dans un élan de concertation, d'inclusivité, de participation de tous les acteurs. Et d'ailleurs, la question est si importante qu'on se rend même compte de la présence du patronat ivoirien en Côte d'Ivoire qui est présente ici à la COP, qui cherche aussi des solutions pour ce type d'investissement, pour ce type d'action qui pourrait appuyer considérablement la jeunesse. Merci.
Thank you. The delay because the translation, after you finish, it continues. Okay. Amanjo, there is a request. What are the top 3 pieces of advice you would give to a young woman in rural Uganda or other parts of Africa who is aware of climate change and wants to set up an enterprise? Okay, you can choose the activity and give the advice.
Thank you. Rather than 3 pieces of advice, it would be good I can share actually what we are doing, and that might be helpful for the other young groups, especially the youth women groups. Like in Bangladesh, in some of our project locations, young women are planning to be involved in vermicomposting, which means compost made with worms business, because from our intervention they have learned certain skills, got to know feasibility of the business in their locality and the market linkage, and also they have got the courage and inspiration to be involved in business as women. There are social norms regarding limited mobility for women and doing business, because business and marketplace are still considered as male domain, like the patriarchal approach is still belonging. So renegotiating social norms is very important, especially in our region, especially different kinds of fundamental groups and fundamental activist groups are also some kinds of challenges for promoting this kind of things. And that impacts religiously sometimes, affect especially to the women. So we should be very careful about this. And if we collectively, doing that kind of promoting jobs, then it might be get better result. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Nasreen, you talked earlier about the work you're doing and how you're trying to create awareness and build capacity. The question, what will be your entry points or argument for engaging, convincing existing and upcoming SMEs to work on greening their business approach?
First of all, the economical situation in Sudan is not very perfect. So this is enough reason, I think, for other people or young people especially to find a new ways for generating income. And it's not only, as he said, it's not only about money, but it's also about having a different approach to community problems. So I think two issues in Sudan are very clear: the economical side and climate change side. So I don't have to put a lot of effort to convince other young people to be involved in the green entrepreneurship. But the effort and the thing that we need to work on, all of us, is how to have appropriate mentorship to these young people who have ideas to actually implement it on their reality. And I would like to sort of answer Dr. Balqis' question about what is the critical...
Can you wait? That's a general question at the end.
But it's very relevant because the breakthrough is about the most important thing that we think it's going to help to improve the small entrepreneurship, small and medium. Yes, laws and regulations are very important, but whenever you have a law or investment or labor or anything, you can find a way to use this law. So it's not a priority for us to have laws and regulations, but the most important is to have an entity, an institute, a body that trusts these young people to take the leadership on how to mentor these youngs and how to give them seed money to actually proceed their work. So it's not about laws and ink on papers, it's how to do the actual work and actual start of the jobs for this young entrepreneurship. Thank you.
Okay. I think there is another question for... Yannick, you already covered all the challenges and all the ideas and so on. And do you want to add something before we go to our final question? Advices, forward.
Yeah, what's your name? Nisni? Okay, I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name, but like she said, just do it, and don't be afraid to start. Especially as an entrepreneur, start small. Don't go into entrepreneurship thinking you're gonna have a huge haul and start selling stuff immediately. I know a friend of mine from Côte d'Ivoire started selling chocolate, started making chocolate in his mom's kitchen. And today he's selling chocolate into Europe. So my advice is to just start it now. Don't wait for anything.
Okay, thank you. Dominique, do you have any work in Africa?
We don't have any, so we're a virtual organization, and so the way that we work is we have a team of what we call associates. So our operations base in North America. I'm the only full-time staff, and we have part-time staff that help with operations. But really what our model is engaging and working with young people who are in communities across the world on like a contractual basis. And so far, the initiatives that we've run have included the virtual accelerator program with the Global Green Growth Institute. We also run a number of other projects that are actually related more to policy, and it touches the question on youth engagement in climate policy. So the reason why we're here, one of the big reasons why we're here at COP24, is we're actually working with the Seychelles government and an awesome Seychelles youth organization called SIA Seychelles, and we're running a delegation support team. And what that means is basically a team of awesome young people, both Seychellois and international youth, who are providing direct support to the negotiators. So it's examples of projects like that we work with a variety of different partners. And so, yeah.
My question, because earlier on you talked about challenges, you talked about sustainability, you gave example and so on. So I wanted to ask you in terms of us in Africa, you're scaling up this to Africa, what advice do you give? So you can encourage this. And to be honest, I got worried since you don't have the experience in Africa. How would you answer that? But then you said you already have got connection, you have got like focal points and so on.
So in terms of experience, some of our teams...
How can you scale up that in terms of Africa context, and how you can advance youth-led entrepreneurship?
No, it's a good question. And just like I mentioned before, a number of our teams were from African countries, part of the Virtual Accelerator Program, and our work with Seychelles. But in terms of scaling up, and it touches on the earlier question of like, what is the enabling environment that's needed, and how do you scale up youth-led entrepreneurship in Africa and others? And I think it comes back down to creating an ecosystem of support. So there are existing programs like the virtual ones that we run, but also incubator programs that you mentioned, a number of different universities that are working. But it's just to take a more holistic look at, okay, well, we talked about financing, but what can innovative financing for youth-led efforts look like? A number of youth-led initiatives that we found are not always at the level of getting institutional investors. And so what does youth-inclusive financing look like? And that's very relevant in Africa. And so thinking like a combination, some ideas that we're exploring, and we're very much looking for other partners to explore, is can you do a crowdfunding that's matched by a national fund? And so there's very different ways that you can be exploring these kinds of ideas that could help scale up efforts in Africa as well as other places.
Thank you very much. We are in our last 10 minutes. Okay, because we want to go to the general question of Dr. Okay, please.
No, just we have discussed about the challenges, and you also mentioned about some solution part. The key role and the key stakeholder, it should be from the government level. So that if supporting green enterprise from the government level, that would be very useful. On the other hand, economic opportunities through promoting jobs and entrepreneurship, that is very important at the state level. Access to green and the climate finance, that types of accessibility is very much important, especially for the citizens. And fourth one is climate action related job placement and providing that kinds of job information, because that types of job information is most people are not much aware.
Thank you.
So that's all from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're coming to our last 9 minutes or 10 or 8 minutes, and I would like to have the questions, starting by your question, Dr. Belqis, and build on it, and especially what do we see in terms of African Development Bank in that context? What help, what policies, what strategies needed, and funding and support needed to, and in the different and guidelines in the different country regarding greening and regarding entrepreneurship for the youth. Yes, we know we need them. The business, we said already, in 15 years you need to create about 600 million jobs for the youth. Okay, and small and medium entrepreneurship is almost about 80% of all the business in Africa, and employing almost the same number of youth and others. So we need to have a more wider look and to look forward. And this is the kind of thing I would like people to share. I will give 1 minute for people who want to set big specific questions. And Dr. Belqis, please, you could say your question, and then I will give the time for them to answer. I think that way we will conclude in a much clear way. Start by you, yes. That we need, because people may be like me, becoming short memory. The hard disk is getting formatted.
Mine also. Yeah. Okay, my question is like, what are the most determinant factors for a successful future for green entrepreneurship from different perspectives, donors and young, yeah.
Okay.
And as you said, what can we at the bank provide, yeah,
Okay.
to achieve this?
Okay, anyone want to input more? All right. All right, I think you got the sense of, yes, please. I'm sorry if I didn't see your hand.
We've talked a lot about the importance of financing when it comes to youth businesses, green businesses. There's been some mention of markets, but not enough. We talked about, I think the panelists from Seeing Blue talked about exporting to Europe and so forth. But what is the scope for African regional markets when it comes to green entrepreneurs, eco-enterprises? You see a lot of tourism going into these kinds of businesses, but what else is possible basically, and what do you think are the trends or businesses that will be successful for not just for promoting African consumers of the products that come out of these kind of businesses?
Thank you. Last question. Okay. Within those two questions, there is a third question. Okay.
Oui, Chair.
Yes. My question is how what's your views on how to limit the loss of youth in your countries? How to make them stay rather than go somewhere else to see if they can get these things done? How do you work with your governments on that? How do you work with the development partners on that? It would be interesting to hear how you're doing it, and because I'm sure you're all doing this.
Okay. I'm going to give 1 minute because we are actually almost at the end of our thing. Okay? Am I allowed to give them 2 minutes? Okay, that means you've been answering, you're doing very well. So, 2 minutes each. We start from here, there are Marcel. 2 minutes, answer these questions.
Merci. Les questions sont très intéressantes. Mais j'aimerais revenir sur la question sur les échanges sous le journal. Il faudra dire qu'en matière pour faciliter en fait le développement de l'entrepreneuriat, pour favoriser le développement de l'entrepreneuriat, il faudrait créer davantage d'intégration entre les pays de la sous-région. Il y a un potentiel marché fort qui n'est pas encore assez exploité. Je pense que c'est vraiment des niches de possibilités de marché qui devaient être davantage exploitées. Maintenant, au niveau des facteurs déterminants pour pouvoir créer davantage d'entreprises, je dirais que le facteur le plus important pour moi, c'est la stabilité. Parce que quand un individu se déplace d'une zone A vers une zone B, c'est parce qu'il n'y a pas de stabilité. Donc s'il y a la stabilité, et la stabilité se crée avec une bonne démocratie, et après cette stabilité-là, il y a maintenant la façon de faire la promotion, de créer le cadre pour que l'individu en lui-même puisse exprimer ce qu'il voudrait faire. Ça, c'est très important pour moi. Bon, je pense que j'ai couvert les questions avec ces deux points de vue, mais je voudrais ajouter une chose importante. J'ai appris beaucoup avec ce qui a été dit. Je n'ai pas l'habitude de prendre beaucoup de notes, mais je pense que vous m'avez vu écrire beaucoup. J'ai vraiment appris de vous. Je pense que je pourrais partager également ce que j'ai appris avec les jeunes de chez moi, de la Côte d'Ivoire. Merci.
Thank you very much. Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you. Actually, most of the discussion, we are on track, and especially I am very happy with the last question because it is important. Because sometimes we also feel youth are not properly utilized, and what types of support they need, we can't realize that. But it is very, demandable time, especially for the youth people, how we can provide leadership, especially as the future leader. Regarding the climate change perspective, actually we need to emphasize few things. First of all, we need to utilize our youth groups, providing them to soft life skill on climate change and climate actions. And of course, I earlier mentioned about the market-led or job-related skill on climate actions. And from the state level, entrepreneurship skill on climate action, there are different kinds of vocational institutions belongs in every country. So government should take care of all those things and provide appropriate capacity building initiatives to the youth people so that they can, contribute a lot. Thanks from my side.
What do you think the African Development Bank should do? Rashid? What about the African Development Bank? What role?
African Development Bank is very, very important, especially for the African region, not only. They can also provide, support to Asia as well. Because Africa is such a country, as an Asian I know, the resource, the wealth, the knowledge, the good culture, everything is in Africa. But sometimes, Asia, we have lot of things, but we have lot of behind in terms of, different things. And there are lot of conflicting issues as well belongs in the Asia part. But resource is not like the African part. And most of the Asian countries are, over-urbanized, concept is belonging, and every country, they are developing themselves as urbanized country. As a result, especially for the rural area and the village area, these are very much ignored from the development perspectives. So from the learning and the support from the African Development Bank, the best practices, the best learnings, that can be replicated to our countries as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Saïd?
Donc, Madame Balkis a posé la question, les facteurs déterminants. Moi, je pense qu'un des facteurs les plus déterminants dans tous ces aspects, c'est comment trouver des idées innovatrices qui peuvent assurer la durabilité des entreprises, surtout des jeunes. Maintenant, la Banque africaine, son rôle, c'est comment effectivement motiver les jeunes à aller dans cet esprit de l'innovation. Parce que c'est l'innovation qui fait la différence et ne pas répéter les mêmes projets partout en Afrique. Parce que chaque pays a son contexte, chaque pays a ses particularités. Donc, aller dans cet esprit-là. Aussi, on sait que la question de la finance, elle est très importante, mais elle n'est pas la seule. Et la Banque africaine peut, à travers les projets qui sont financés par la Banque africaine, exiger une part de ce financement pour contribuer à encourager ces entreprises ou les éco-entreprises des jeunes. C'est très important parce que aller dans l'esprit des incubateurs, parce que les jeunes, ils ont besoin des incubateurs. Et les incubateurs, ils soient motivés par un financement particulier. Ça, c'est très important. Deuxième chose, c'est qu'il faut qu'aussi la BAD, la Banque africaine de développement, aller vers la recherche scientifique. Parce qu'il faut dire que c'est possible. Et pour dire que c'est possible, il faut chercher à argumenter ce possible-là. Et on l'argumente par la science. Donc, il faut que la BAD aille aussi vers les universités, vers la recherche scientifique, encourage un peu ce domaine-là parce qu'il a besoin aussi d'un appui. Et je pense aussi que cette culture de l'éco-entrepreneuriat, il faut aller dans nos familles. Peut-être le problème de l'éco-entrepreneuriat, c'est qu'une culture familiale. Nous n'avons pas cette culture de s'engager dans les entreprises. Donc, il faut aller aussi dans la sensibilisation. La Banque africaine de développement peut aussi développer des programmes de sensibilisation, de promotion de ces projets d'éco-entrepreneuriat. Parce qu'il y a beaucoup de projets qui ont réussi, mais qui connaît ces projets-là? Donc, aller dans ces expériences qui sont réussies et essayer de faire un peu la promotion. Je pense que ce sont les messages pour la Banque africaine. Et merci d'abord de nous avoir donné cette opportunité de s'exprimer.
Thank you very much. Dominic?
Awesome. In terms of recommendations and like final thoughts, recognizing that I am based in Canada but working on a variety of different projects, I think a lot of the conversation, which has been so great, focused on young people, youth on entrepreneurship. I think one thing that's really important is to understand and to make processes and make space for young people to also voice what they want and what they need. There should always, I believe, be some sort of processes that should be by youth for youth. And thinking about what that looks like institutionally looks very, very different. So I would say that kind of is one big line that I want to highlight. The young people really do know what they want and have unique insights into their local context. And so if we really try to support them, we really need to make space to hear what they have to say. I also think, interestingly, especially whether the bank or other institutional partners, exploring what a youth-based analysis looks like, whether it is for financing or for other policy processes. How do climate risks specifically affect young people? There's a lot of work being done on gender-based analyses. What are the unique risks of women, but also young women? And so understanding and helping advance this kind of work, I think, is very important because globally, a lot of data is missing on that. And then the third kind of point is just testing different approaches and really learning through those approaches. I think the bank and network of partners has so many amazing projects, and what are the systems and the processes in place to learn what is going well, what are the successes, but also what are the learnings, and really making sure that there is sort of an agile approach to this learning. I guess I'll leave it at that, but I'm very grateful for that.
Yannick?
I think the rest of the panelists have given me a tough job. They've stolen most of my ideas, but thank you. So I'll start with, in a way, our government has limited youth leaving the country, is that they've provided various schemes, such as benefits to graduate, such as housing, competitive salaries, and as I mentioned earlier, the government is open to ideas from the youth and criticism. So I wish to echo this, that older generations don't need to be afraid of us. We have to work together. It's an climate change is an intergenerational problem, and that's how we can improve each other. Also, as Dominic said, please give us the space to bring in these new ideas and be able to work with each other. Most of you here weren't born the ages you were. You are all babies once, and I believe some of you, probably your mothers gave you a good spanking, and that's how we all learn. But and for the youth, it's not just about asking, but also delivering and channeling the energies that we have. So instead of just protesting, turn those energies into building something for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Nasreen?
Yes, so for me it's a cycle. For this cycle to work, a lot of components should be there. As I said, leadership, mentorship, support, markets, and all. It's all a cycle. Everything should work together, because if any one of the pillars are missing, then the others will not be able to work. So what should African Development Bank do is to take the lead to actually to fix the environment, or to have a ground for all these cycles, components to become together as a cycle, so it can be functional. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we heard a lot in this session, and we heard quite a lot of ideas, challenges, difficulties. also different advices and what should the African Development Bank should do. I always, when I look at the African Development Bank, I always get worried because when people look at this map of the world, okay, you see Africa here, and then you look at Europe, and you look at Russia, and so on and so on. And people do not realize this flat map is not a true map, because Africa is such a massive land mass. You can take the whole of Eurasia, the whole of almost Asia, as I tell of America, you could all put it inside Africa. So African development, you have got a massive job to do, because you feel it's not like the World Bank, it's not like other financial institutions. We in Africa tend to think of it, it is our bank. And we hope it is our bank. That's why from the advices and from the suggestions and recommendations I heard here, they're expecting it to take a much lead work rather than the usual money-making ideas. Is actually because these processes at the end will help this entrepreneurship, will help the small and the medium, and then the money will be there for further business. I think because we have taken almost 11 minutes extra, I will stop here. I would like to thank all those who have been here, listening here. I would like to thank all those who are online, our translators, and also the panelists, and also the African Development Bank. And I hope we move from advices and comments and recommendations into action. Thank you very much.